Hi, and welcome to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. I am your host, Eric Knowles. But before we get started, a word from one of our supporters.
At Convey, we're not only dedicated to solving today's biggest challenges facing healthcare organizations, we're also committed to predicting and planning for tomorrow's challenges by uniting a family of companies. We combine powerful technology with robust data analytics to deliver integrated end-to-end solutions that achieve meaningful results. Start your journey towards transformative business performance with Convey.
Hi, and welcome back to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. I am your host, Eric Knowles, president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. And as you already know, I'm excited. This gentleman that we have today is pretty important in our community. How you doing? Mr. Juan Fernandez-Barquin. How are you, sir?
Very good, Eric. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you sit in a very, very, very important seat here in Miami-Dade County as the clerk of the county courts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. That's a lot in a mouthful.
It is.
I can't even say it. But before we go there, I know we've all heard of the clerk of the courts. We usually hear it expressed. But before we go there, tell the folks a little bit about yourself and who is Juan, and let us know.
Well, thank you, thank you again for having me.
Absolutely.
So I was born and raised in Miami. Went to Belen Jesuit for high school, went to FIU for undergrad, went to law school away, graduated in 2008 during the financial crisis.
Oh, wow.
I got an offer. I wanted to go work at Kathy Fernandez-Rundle's office.
Okay.
Or at the Miami Public Defender's office, but there was a hiring freeze. I got an offer from Palm Beach, from the Palm Beach County Public Defender's office, started my legal career there, was there for 4.5 years, then came back to Miami to be close to my family, to my parents, and to my sister. Practiced a couple of years doing civil law, civil litigation, and matters involving real estate also.
Okay.
And then I decided to run for office, ran in 2017 for 2018, got elected, and then got appointed to this position about 9 months ago, June of last year.
Okay.
And here now, and just trying to get this office. I feel like I'm standing on the shoulder of a giant, of Harvey Reuven.
Yeah. For those of you, Harvey was that guy that was in the community. We knew him in so many different ways or facets of just being a part of the community. He was a part of the community.
Oh, yeah.
He was, in a certain sense, somewhat bigger than life in our community because he was in that position for a very long time. Yeah. And as I mentioned, we all knew Harvey as the clerk of the courts.
Mm-hmm.
What is the clerk of the courts? I'm sure I kind of know, but really, what is that role?
So it's a great question. and we have so many different functions because it's not just clerk of the court, it's also comptroller.
Okay.
Right. And comptroller is just a fancy word for accountant, as
okay.
I like to joke around. But clerk of the court, so everyone knows that we're in charge as of the records for criminal cases and civil cases. We're the custodian of records for those. We also administer the payments of traffic tickets and parking tickets. Very important. And I always tell everyone this. I'm not the one giving the parking or traffic tickets.
Right.
All I'm doing is just administering the payment and remitting the funds to wherever they're supposed to go. Jury duty is another huge function. And that's probably the function that we interact with the public on most is jury duty.
So when someone gets that notice, that's coming from your office?
Yes, sir. It's coming from my office. And then when they show up and they go in person, either to the Gerstein or to the downtown courthouse, and it's my office that's interacting with them, my team that's interacting with them.
Well, how has that changed? I know there has been some changes since the pandemic, and obviously courts still had to run. How did that change during that period of time?
So that is an excellent example of technology being implemented and not just helping the public, but actually increasing our efficiency because of the technological system that we have now that coordinates the jury selection. We are actually twice as efficient. We're doing twice as many trials now than we were doing before the pandemic. And also, this system was implemented during the pandemic, and what it allows for is for what we call direct reporting, where instead of the jurors having to physically go to the jury pool and sit around, they've already answered a bunch of questionnaires and they're already going directly to the courtroom. So they're less waste of time, less hanging out. You know, it's just more efficient, saves their time.
I recall having jury duty a couple of times, and like you said, you had to go sit in a pool and you sat there all day. So you're saying through the processes now, we've eliminated that, or we're not eliminated somewhat?
Some of it, there's still a portion of the jurors that go and sit at the jury pool. In the criminal courthouse, all of them have to sit in the jury pool, but at the civil one, at the very least, half of them now can sit at the jury pool. The other half can just directly report to the courtroom. And then other functions of the office, the comptrolling functions is well, going back to the clerk of the Board of County Commissioners. So all the county commission meetings, there's a representative from my office taking attendance, listening to what's going on, notating who voted how, and things like that.
So you actually oversee the county's commission meetings, their records. Okay,
correct. Yeah,
that's important.
Yeah, incredibly important, right? I mean, that's how you notate the meetings and who said what and who moved and what was passed and what resolution passed or failed. We also do the public records, so deeds, mortgages, judgments, anything like that. My office records them for the county. We also collect for code violations on behalf of the county. And then the comptrolling functions really, January 7th, 2025 is when the finance department is going to come under my purview. And that's a finance department for the whole county. So accounts receivable, accounts payable, the issuance of the bonds, the financial investments of the county, that'll come under my purview under the comptrolling functions in January 7th, 2025. So it's a lot of different things. It's really two big hats that I wear.
Right.
One as clerk, and then the other one on the finance front.
Speaking of that, I know I just saw in the paper the other day, maybe even yesterday, not necessarily in paper, on social media, that the county mayor is looking to possibly do $800 million, maybe a bond.
$2.5 billion.
See? And as I read, there was something. Anyway, talk about that and how you play into that, because that's what you're talking about. You would have to basically, you would be the comptroller over that.
Yes. So the way that would roll out is let's say it gets approved by the public, or first the county commission approves it to go on the ballot. Then it goes on the ballot, and then the general public, the voters of this county approve it. Then it basically becomes a directive for my office of, hey, issue the bonds, right? So we have to hire bond counsel. We basically have to package this bond, and from my understanding, also contract with a finance company that'll issue the bond, right? Also underwrite the bond, make sure that we have the financial health, that the county is financially healthy enough to issue this bond and to pay the creditors, and then basically let it go out into the market and do it. I mean, it's a kind of thing, and from the county perspective, it's really more finding the actors and outsourcing it for them to put it together, and then us supervising it and make sure that the proverbial plane takes off.
Right. No, that's a big deal. And we're going to take a break and go to a commercial in a minute. But obviously, we are in a housing crisis here, affordable housing, and the mayor, and that, as I read that, there are other cities that have done it. So it's not something that is new to us. $2.5 billion. That's a lot of money. But what they talk about, and I don't know how deep you've gone into it, but it's kind of a lost leader, if that's the right terminology that I'm using. But before we go there, we're going to take a little break, hear from one of our supporters, and we'll be right back.
Learn and earn today at Miami-Dade College. College graduates earn 56% more than high school graduates and $1 million more in lifetime earnings. A degree from MDC is your path to greater earning power and career success. Choose from hundreds of affordable high-tech and in-demand career programs, including cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, business, and nursing. Learn and earn today at MDC and fast track your career. Enroll now at mdc.edu/purpose.
Hi, and welcome back to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. And I'm here with the clerk of the courts, Mr. Juan Fernandez-Barquin. And again, I am, I'm amazed at that position because it's a very important position in our community. We talk about the taxes that are collected. Does that run through the clerk of the courts at all?
So the way it should, in January 7th, 2025, with the new constitutional officers that will be elected countywide tax collector, for instance, the property appraiser is already elected countywide, myself, sheriff, and the supervisor of elections. There's going to be basically a change in the political landscape when it comes to these offices. Presumably, that the tax collector will collect the funds from the county. The property appraiser assesses what is owed. Tax collector collects, and then tax collector will remit those payments to certain people, but the substantial majority of it will be to myself for the county. To the comptroller, and then I would split it up among the county departments. That's presumably the mechanism that it would work. But it's a lot of funds. I mean, we're talking about right now the budget is $11.7 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, it's something that what my plan is basically to assure transparency and accountability. Now, I can't decide where the money goes. But I can at least shine a light and tell the public, hey, did you know that this is where the money's going? Did you know that this is how much money has been spent on the roadway project for GMX with I-95 or whatnot? Right. But it's something that is something I'm dedicated to is not just investing in technology, but investing in the transparency to make sure that our residents know where their taxpayer money's going, because this is not just a lot of money, but on top of that, a potential $2.5 billion referendum. I mean, this is something that there's already a housing crisis here, as you mentioned earlier. So I mean, we owe it to our residents to let them know where this money is going and to being as transparent as possible with them.
I know before the break, I started talking about that, and obviously it has to go through the processes of resolutions with the county commissioner and the mayors putting that on the table. And the little bit that I did read, it's, if I recall it right, there's somewhat of a loss because of the fact that we really can't afford to pay the prices for housing now. I mean, the average median income $407,000, and the average house, it's just crazy. But this money is being put in place to be able to build housing at a loss to a certain degree, if I'm understanding it right.
And from my understanding, the $2.5 billion it's a combination of things. There's some housing involved, there's some transportation involved, there's some infrastructure involved, there's some septic to sewer involved.
So it's more than just housing.
It's a very global package from my understanding, but this is something
that's needed.
It's needed, but I advise all the viewers to just keep their eye on the ball on what it is, because it's something that, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, Eric, we've seen it in politics, right? That one thing morphs into another.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's something that
goes down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it goes down the rabbit hole, and what comes in as A comes out as Z.
Exactly. Well, again, you're new to this seat to a certain degree.
Yes.
Harvey, how many, like
30 years?
I'd say 30 plus years.
30 years, and he was a county commissioner for 20.
Now that you say that, I remember, I forgot that part.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So here's someone who has been at the helm for 30 years. Here you're stepping into some big shoes.
Huge shoes.
And where do you see this position going? Where do you, how much change do you see? Because obviously, as they say, new sheriff in town. there are going to be changes. You see things from a different perspective. What do you see going forward?
So having been an attorney or being an attorney and having practiced law and interacted with the website and seen it from that perspective, having both done civil and criminal law, I think that there's a lot of positive changes that we can make on the website to just make it easier for not just attorneys, obviously, but also for our residents. I mean, for the individuals that interact with it on a daily basis, for the jurors, for the people who get parking tickets, for the people who get traffic tickets, just to make it easier for them to navigate is one of my top goals, and also customer service.
Okay.
So just to make it easy, and I mean it in the sense of if I can get them to what they're looking for in 3 clicks as opposed to 4 clicks.
That is frustrating when you have to like, oh gosh, I'm not going to go there, but anyway, go ahead.
But I've heard it, and it happened to me as an attorney.
Right.
Sometimes even as an attorney, I have problems finding something or I had problems finding something that I was looking for, whether it was this website or
some
Broward
other,
or Palm
and I
Beach.
get it. Yeah, it could be very frustrating.
Yeah, so it's something that I just want to make it easy for viewers, make it easy for residents. I've implemented a couple of new projects over the last couple of months. There's a property fraud alert system that, for what a lot of people don't know, is that right now a lot of the new kind of fraud that's being committed is basically deed fraud. So people who own their properties in full, someone may file a deed transferring the property into someone else's name.
Wow.
And then refinance, and then basically skip town or wire the funds out. So, I mean, this is something that is going on, and we have a property fraud alert system that's completely free that anybody can sign up for. And we walk you through it, and it takes less than 2 minutes to do it.
How does someone do that?
Okay, so legally, unfortunately, Eric, I don't have the ability to reject a deed at my office if it satisfies, if the 4 corners of the document, if it satisfies all the legal requirements.
Right.
If there's 2 signatures of witnesses, the signature of the owner of the property and the notary, because presumably the notary is really the gatekeeper.
Right.
Right. I don't have the ability to reject a deed. I have to record it. So this is an effort. This whole free alert system is an effort to try and reduce the fraud, to help residents. And what we'll do is we'll send them a text message and an email to let them know when something has been filed on the property that they entered into the system.
How often does that happen? I've never heard of that one.
This is something else that we cannot put a number on it. Estimates are in a couple of hundred a year. Typically, it happens with someone who's abusing their position, like in a guardianship situation.
Right. A parent, someone's abusing a grandparent or parent.
That's typically the situation.
Not really necessarily an outsider, someone on the inside.
Unfortunately, someone on the inside, but someone else on the inside could also be monitoring the situation and be like, well, I'm going to keep an eye on this, make sure that the housekeeper or the neighbor, or the neighbor doesn't take advantage of my grandmother. I'm gonna register my grandmother's property. So anyone can do it. It doesn't have to be the property owner. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. Anyone can do it. In addition to that, we also did extended hours at 2 locations, at the Caleb Center, 5400 Northwest 22nd Avenue, and also the South Day Justice Center, off of 211th Street and the Turnpike. We've extended hours there on Thursdays to 8 p.m. and Saturdays 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I can say that we have collected over $50,000 in traffic tickets and parking tickets since we implemented that in August. And that just helps people, because people, as we mentioned earlier, the housing crisis, some people have 2 jobs. They get a parking ticket, they get a traffic ticket, and they just want to go and talk to someone or get on a payment plan, which now we offer payment plans online. We have over 2,000 people registered on payment plans.
I might be one of them.
Well, with the housing costs now, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, but it's something that this is just giving people an opportunity to physically come in and interact with our office and make it easier for them.
We got a few more seconds. If they want to get in touch with your office, how do they do that?
Best thing is the website.
Okay.
The website has all the information. We've been working on the website to make it easier to understand and easier to communicate with us. So I mean that would be the best way.
Okay, so you go to the clerk of the county courts on their website. If you want to know more about the chamber, call us at 305-751-8648, m-dcc.org. This has been the Miami-Dade Chamber Member Connection. Thank you for tuning in. That was Today, I stand before you, a proud graduate of Miami-Dade College and the 5th president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. I'm honored to return to the college that prepared me to become a leader in our community, providing an education second to none. So I'm asking you to please tune in every Monday at 12 noon to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce's Member Connection, as I interview members of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce on our Facebook page at Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce or our YouTube channel, Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. To learn more about the Chamber, please go to m-dcc.org or call the Chamber at 305-751-8648.